What is Pantoum poetry? History of Pantoum poetry. Pantoum poetry has its origins in the Malay literary tradition. The word Pantoum in Malay means a poem or a piece of poetry. Pantoum verses have been recited and sung for centuries in Southeast Asia, particularly in countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. These traditional verses often focus on themes of love, nature, and daily life. The structure of the Pantoum began to take shape in the West during the 19th century, when French poets such as Victor Hugo and Leconte de Lisle experimented with the form. They were intrigued by the repetitive and circular nature of the verses, and the Pantoum gained popularity as a distinct poetic form. It wasn't until the 20th century that the Pantoum gained even more attention in English-speaking countries. Poets like Ezra Pound and John Ashbery incorporated the Pantoum's structure into their work, further highlighting the form's unique rhythmic quality. In recent years, modern poets have continued to explore and experiment with the Pantoum form, adapting it to contemporary themes and styles. Before we proceed, if you want for more videos about poetry, click the subscribe button. If you like this video, click the like button. If you have suggestion and feedback, leave a comment. What is Pantoum poetry? A pantoum is a form of poetry with a specific structure where lines are repeated in a particular pattern. It typically consists of quatrains, 4-line stanzas, where the second and fourth lines of each stanza are repeated as the first and third lines of the next stanza. The final stanza ends with the first and third lines of the poem. This repetition creates a circular and interlocking effect, giving the pantoum a unique rhythm and a sense of continuity. The form originated in Malaysia and was later adapted into English-language poetry. One, choose a theme. 2, understand the structure. 3, start with quatrains. 4, create repetition. 5, play with line length. 6, maintain consistent syllable count. 7, use imagery. 8, build momentum. 9, use enjambment. 10, create relationships. 11, reflect and reinterpret. 12, experiment with endings. 13, edit and revise. 14, seek feedback. 15, read pantoums. Choose a theme. Decide on the central theme or emotion you want to convey in your pantoum. Understand the structure. Familiarize yourself with the repeating pattern of lines in a pantoum. A, B, A, B, B, C, B, C, C, D, C, D, and so on. Start with quatrains. Begin by writing a series of quatrains, 4-line stanzas, that establish your theme and set the tone. Create repetition. Use the last line of each quatrain as the first line of the next one, establishing the repeating pattern. Play with line length. Experiment with varying line lengths to add rhythm and variation to your pantoum. Maintain consistent syllable count. Keep a consistent syllable count within each line to maintain the poem's musicality. Use imagery. Employ vivid imagery and descriptive language to evoke emotions and create a strong mental picture. Build momentum. As the poem progresses, consider building momentum by increasing the intensity or emotion in each repeated line. Use enjambment. Utilize enjambment, continuing a sentence beyond the end of a line to create a smooth flow between lines. Create relationships. Explore how the repeated lines can take on new meanings or nuances as they are reused, adding depth to the poem. Reflect and reinterpret. Allow each repetition to offer a chance to reflect or reinterpret the previous lines. Experiment with endings. Try variations in the final stanza to give the poem a sense of conclusion or resolution. Edit and revise. After writing the initial draft, revise and refine the poem to enhance its impact. Seek feedback. Share your Pantoum with others to gather feedback and make improvements. Read Pantoums. Read Pantoum poems by established poets to gain inspiration and a better understanding of the form. Remember, writing a Pantoum might take some practice, so don't hesitate to experiment and revise until you're satisfied with the result. Here is the example of Pantoum poetry by Lockdown Larks. In Empty Space. By Lockdown Larks. In empty space, the blue sphere spins in this beauteous place. Journeys of life begins. The blue sphere spins, a matter of gravity, journeys of life begins. But a growing depravity, a matter of gravity. Sapient populations surge. But a growing depravity, finite resources they purge. Sapient populations surge, earth begins to ache. Finite resources they purge. As sapiens take, earth begins to ache, crying the sounds of tomorrow as sapiens take. It can only end in sorrow. Crying the sounds of tomorrow in this beauteous place. It can only end in sorrow, in empty space. If you want for more videos about poetry, click the subscribe button.